All right, so it seems like you're thinking about a pretty exciting career shift, huh? Becoming a domestic electrician. You sent over a ton of material from RoleCatcher for us to dig into, so let's deep dive into this and figure out if it's the right move for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a career path worth exploring. It seems like there's a lot to unpack here, but thankfully, RoleCatcher gives us a really solid framework to start with.
Yeah, for sure. One of the first things that caught my eye in the RoleCatcher guide was the job outlook for electricians. It looks really positive.
hmm
It makes sense, though, right? I mean, people are always going to need wiring in their homes, lights, working appliances running smoothly.
And it's not even just about keeping things up and running. It's also the fact that there's a growing need for electricians kind of across the board.
Right.
Think new construction that's booming, older homes that need rewiring and renovations, and of course, we can't forget about all the new smart home technology that's out there. Electricians are the ones that make all of that happen.
Right. Easy to forget how essential those skills really are. And with all the new technology, it seems like the learning never really stops in this field, does it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually something that RoleCatcher really emphasizes as well. It's not just about the technical skills that you start off with, but being willing to adapt and always keep learning as technology changes and advances.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, no one wants to call an electrician who's using outdated methods on their new gadgets, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're interested in this kind of work, but maybe you haven't rewired anything more complicated than a light fixture since high school.
Mm.
What would you say are some of those core skills someone needs to be an electrician?
Well, RoleCatcher actually does a really good job at breaking down those essential skills. And you're right, it's more than just knowing how to wire a circuit. So while the technical side of things is obviously very important, there are other skills like customer service, problem solving, and teamwork that are super important as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you're not just working with wires, you're working with people, right?
Yeah,
In their homes too,
exactly.
where they might not be as comfortable or familiar with electrical systems as you are.
Exactly. You might have homeowners who are stressed out, maybe a little confused, or just don't really understand how their electrical systems work. So being able to explain things clearly and patiently to them is going to be super important. There's also a lot of on-the-spot problem solving involved, especially when you're trying to troubleshoot an issue.
So you need to be a bit of a detective too. What about teamwork? If you're working on bigger projects, I imagine that plays a pretty significant role.
Absolutely. With larger projects, you often have to collaborate with other contractors, maybe builders, or even the homeowners themselves. So being able to communicate, effectively coordinate tasks, and generally just work well as part of a team is essential to making sure the project runs smoothly and is completed successfully.
It really does sound like being an electrician is about way more than just the technical stuff.
Hmm.
You need that good mix of technical skills with people skills. And then on top of that, you've got to be able to think on your feet.
Yeah.
One thing I found really interesting in these role catcher materials was the section about career progression. They actually lay out different paths you could take, starting as an entry-level electrician and working your way up to running your own business.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about going into a skilled trade like this. You can start out as an apprentice, learning on the job, getting that experience, and work your way all the way up to becoming a master electrician. Maybe even end up managing your own team one day.
That's got to be a pretty amazing feeling, having that much control over where your career goes from there.
Yeah.
And speaking of empowering, the cool thing about this role catcher guide is that they don't just throw all this information at you. They actually give you tools to help you land a job.
Oh, yeah. Their interview prep is really, really thorough. They give you a bunch of questions that are specifically designed for aspiring electricians.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that. They had some
Yeah.
good ones in there, like describe a time you had to solve a really complex electrical problem.
Yeah.
Or how would you explain to a homeowner how grounding works if they don't know anything about electrical work?
Right.
I mean, those are the kinds of questions that could really trip you up in an interview if you're not prepared.
Yeah, and it's not even just about having a bunch of canned answers memorized,
That's
you know?
true.
RoleCatcher actually encourages you to practice your answers by recording yourself with their video recording feature. That way you can actually see how you come across and make changes to how you present yourself.
So it's like having a free mock interview, basically, but from home.
Exactly.
Although I got to say, the thought of having to watch myself answer interview questions is a little scary,
hmm
but I can definitely see how valuable it would be.
It's super valuable. It's surprising how much you can improve just by seeing yourself through the interviewer's eyes. Like you can pick up on things you wouldn't even think about otherwise. Your body language, your tone of voice, even if
Yeah.
you're using too many filler words.
Yeah. So it's not just about what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly. And actually, RoleCatcher even takes it a step further with their AI analysis tool.
Mm.
So you can upload these practice videos you've made, and it will actually give you feedback on how you're doing. Things like how clear you are, the tone you're using, even the content of your answers.
Whoa, that's like straight out of the future.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal job coach that's powered by AI.
It's pretty amazing. And it's not even just for the interview prep. They also have a cool feature where you can link your resume to a specific job posting, and the AI will analyze how well they match up.
Oh, wow. So it's like it scans your resume for the right keywords and make sure it lines up with what the employer's looking for.
It's even smarter than that. Like it figures out which specific skills and what kind of experience the employer really cares about, and then it shows you where your resume is strong and where you might be missing something.
That is seriously smart. So you can tailor your resume to each job description without having to start from scratch every time. I wish I had that when I was applying for jobs. It would have saved me so much time and frustration.
Exactly. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right? And that's what RoleCatcher helps you do.
Totally.
They even have this huge database of employers, and you can filter it by industry, by location, even the size of the company, pretty much anything you can think of. It's like having a direct line to potential job opportunities.
Wow. RoleCatcher really does sound like a secret weapon for anyone looking for a job.
They definitely have a lot of really great resources, and the best part is a lot of them are free.
That's amazing.
But even with all the technology and tools that are out there now, they still say that real-world experience is the most important thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You can have all the best tools and resources, but nothing really replaces that hands-on experience, does it?
Exactly. And you know what? RoleCatcher actually recommends reaching out to electricians in your area to see if you can shadow them for a day.
Oh, wow. So it's like a little test drive before you fully commit to it.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you the chance to ask questions, see what they do on a day-to-day basis, and just kind of get a feel for what it's really like to work in that environment. You might even make some good connections in the industry while you're at it.
Such a good idea. And it actually goes back to something we were talking about before about how important it is to keep learning and adapting in this field. Technology is always changing, so being able to pick up those new skills is super important.
Absolutely. And, one area where that's becoming more and more important is renewable energy. Think about it. With more homeowners and businesses getting into solar power, wind energy, all those sustainable technologies, the need for electricians who actually know how to work with them is only going to keep growing.
That's so true. So if someone's thinking about electrical work, ND, they're passionate about sustainability, that could be like the perfect match.
It's all about finding that sweet spot where your skills and your passions line up with what the job market needs. And you know what? It sounds like domestic electrical work might just be that perfect fit for you.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up. We've covered a lot today, from what the job market looks like and the skills you need to those awesome resources that RoleCatcher can offer. But at the end of the day, it's your call to make.
Definitely. If any of this has sparked your interest even a little bit, don't be afraid to take that next step. Reach out to an electrician near you, do some more research, see where it leads you.
And hey, maybe someday you'll be the one inspiring someone else to consider a career in the trades.